Yeah, it's about time someone covered this craziness. This is gonna be a weird one. And I literally mean weird one. And this is coming from a person who has covered his fair share of weirdness before, that being Nasumi Steph, which is, of course, about a girl going to hell with a crowbar, to even more bizarre incidents such as Magical World of Anya, which literally is a good series, but also like very creepy, but really well done. And look, I've been through thick and thin with many series explains before. However, literally myself never expected, and I'm betting also many other people never expected the annoying orange to fit on the bill of someone's gotta explain this type of shit. And it's super fascinating and very, very bizarre ER. And yes, this is a real thing that recently happened with the annoying orange. And funny enough, this isn't the first time Annoying Orange had a plot line going through. I mean, they had one 2 years ago involving another fruit that was love and passion fruit, but that's a whole can of worms that I don't want to get into. That ended shortly, but this one is the most recent, and it's since been taking forever to take over. So today, not only will I at least try to explain most of the stuff that has happened, because there is in fact a lot that goes on, though it's not too much. I mean, honestly, if this really is an ARG, this has got to be the most simplest. Not surprising though, because it actually is pretty good despite being simple. But it's justifiable with that because it's made for kids. Although, arguably, you can make an argument that this whole analog orange is not fully made for kids. But anyways, the interesting part about all of this is the story that's been going on. And I will actually also go ahead and try to explain why the hell the creator is doing this, because a lot of people might be confused of why the Annoying Orange recently became a ARG that's obviously never going to be covered by most people, because this is the Annoying Orange we're talking about. Like, again, I don't think any ARG person expected Annoying Orange to fit in their bill of we need to talk about, because again, this is the Annoying Orange. And I don't have to go into a back story on why that sounds crazy. But since I'm a person who goes out of his way to see something good, which, believe it or not, this is actually good, and oftentimes pick up the slack for any ARGs that are literally not on the list of anyone's of those people, I decided to go ahead and be the guinea pig and actually talk about it, which is fitting because actually, even though I have talked about the Annoying Orange before, but of course I decided to delete that video because it's very old. Most people know good and well that I actually am a little bit of a big fan of Annoying Orange. I don't watch his content too much, but some of them are pretty funny, to say the least. However, this has been a very interesting change. So let's go ahead and finally explain things. Now, funny enough, this analog horror orange actually has appeared before. In fact, it appeared 2 years ago. And yeah, that's what he looked like before the whole unique change they've been given to him. He first appeared in the previous Shocktober, not last year's Shocktober, but the year before. And of course, I pretty much already don't need to explain why this is, but for context, obviously this was made during the time when analog horror was sort of kind of blowing up in the ARG community. Even though now, admittedly, it's sort of have swamped it to a P, because now most horror videos have been analog horror for a while. However, I will say, give credit where credit's due to Annoying Orange. They definitely made this very interesting and unique. But I won't go into too much details because this one is just more of a hint of what's going on. And yes, if you're wondering, this is actually also a remake to the very first Annoying Orange video, which actually is somewhat important to note. The second time we see them is the next and recent Shocktober, which is, of course, if you're wondering, is their Halloween thing. I think I should have explained that earlier, but whatever. And yeah, he definitely went. The creator really went all out with even saying in the chapter log, "You cannot escape," and all the numbers. Side note: I will not actually be going through the ARG codes because he gives out, because he really does do it as well. The reason why is because there seem to be more simpler, and B, you can easily figure out the story without them, as it's a pretty unique continuation. At least what I know. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments, because obviously I'm not going to really decode them, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know. Anyways, yeah, it's nothing much for this video first. It's just teasing of what the hell happens. But yeah, it's called Faceless Orange and stuff. However, the next one is very interesting, as pretty much the next video, we're introduced to something called the VSH dimension, which, okay, I give them credit where credit is due. It is related to analog, I guess. But what's interesting is how it's presented, in say at least. Where, of course, Apple gets trapped inside of the dimension, and the ending is very uniquely interesting. So yeah, pretty much a very fascinating ending to that video, and it's definitely the most unique, considering that it also has a very unique hint of what's truly going on and the meaning of all this, and of course that tombstone. And of course, the other two videos are pretty straightforward. Are pretty straightforward. That being, of course, we get to learn a little bit more of the entity. And again, I'm not going to go into too much details. The story is pretty straightforward if you've seen it. The only other thing I will say real quick that is also important is the fact that there's a video called Grapefruit's Old Voice. It's obviously a very interesting point to point out. It's nothing major, but it is something worth pointing, because for those who don't know, Grapefruit's voice actor, actually the original voice actor, he's not dead, by the way. He actually went into college, but he's soon had to retire from the role because of college and all that, if you know what I'm talking about. Though it's kind of funny how they really make it up to the fact of how, pretty much weird stuff, and say the least. And of course, around that time, things seem to be pretty much normal in some way. For the next few videos in November, it was all just Annoying Orange Supercut videos. And of course, one that hinted at what was coming out, which was a Rubik's Cube Annoying Orange. That is until the full video, which that Rubik's Cube was coming from, came out, and let's just say it is very interesting of what they do here.
all out. There's a chance that he...
Hello, friends. What are y'all doing here, huddled behind this toaster?
We're, practicing a dance.
Yeah, a dance. I love dancing. Sounds fun. I know a couple dance moves myself.
Oh, yeah? Any way we can convince you to, not show us?
Oh, Pear, I'll miss you the most.
I beg your pardon?
Here is my favorite dance move. It's called the face line.
Also, okay, a quick side note, if there's any actual dance move of someone sliding on their face, please let me know. That would be funny as fuck that someone actually do that. But yeah, apparently Annoying Orange is still Analog Orange. And side note, I say Analog Orange because as we later reveal for the next video that evolves with Annoying Orange, it is revealed that this is truly a more so of a possession.
I wanna go. Not yet. We're getting close. Orange? Yes.
Help me.
Oh my gosh! Orange!
Now tell me that's not possession. I literally no lie. So good news is, yeah, this is more so of a phase, and sooner or later we will get our old Annoying Orange back and stuff, which of course is very unique to say the least. Though it's definitely going to be later because I have no idea to hell and back on how they're going to bring this up. And of course, yes, they're even still continuing it with the whole grapefruit thing and of course the whole sleigh ride. There is some other things I should note. Just recently, believe it or not, on New Year's, they, through that of the character Pear, they do reveal he also seems to be evolving with, of course, memory loss, which is hinted at that video I showed you at the end, which at the end they get confused, so no surprise. But, of course, I don't need to, as you can tell, I'm not really going to go into explain the story. It's pretty straightforward. Obviously, this new character, Analog Orange, has taken over the real one. Or there could be something else we do not know yet about it, because there is a lot more to it than how I describe it. But, as you might have guessed, that's not the true point of this video. The real point is, many people are still wondering, why the hell does he make this weird story arc about the Annoying Orange? Because this is definitely out of left field. But, funny enough, that actually is the point, to say the least. And of course, I know this is probably not too surprising what I'm about to say, but in clarification, this seems to be a sort of mockery by the creator towards people who criticize the Annoying Orange. And to be fair, I don't even need to explain too much of what I'm talking about. To give you some context, back around 2016, and that is pretty true, Annoying Orange, let's just say, really fall into a very interesting slump. This was because it became more, and still is, kid-friendly. Now, I know I say still is kid-friendly because, you know, but it is still mostly kid-friendly and all that. Even during this isn't really that too scary, honestly, to be frank. Though then again, you could definitely make a good argument that is scary for children. But back in 16, their Shocktober and many of their other creations was pretty bazongas. And there's actually is proof, one big proof to my theory, that may have actually backed this up pretty well. And that is, there is in fact, literal videos done by creators talking about the fall and rise of Annoying Orange, which, to be fair, it isn't really true. I mean, look at the actual Annoying Orange subscriber count. That's not a fall. It's just literally, they're just more so now geared toward children. In fact, I highly recommend, which is actually what I'm going to use as an example, Gamers from Mars video, because while it is outdated, it actually points out to my point on why this is happening. He does give a good idea of what's really going on, and it actually does back up to what's really going on. And if you're thinking I'm a little bit weirded if I'm joking about the fact that I really do believe this is creator giving the ultimate middle finger towards these guys of saying he's downfalling because he's going too kid friendly. Let me show you an example from Gamers from Mars video, which I again highly recommend it. I'll actually send a link to the description down below. And compare it to something that actually recently happened years later. Not now, mind you. Well, actually, yeah, actually now, I think. But let's actually showcase that.
Changed, making the switch over to a more toddler-friendly market was absolutely the way to go. If they stuck with trying to do parodies of Jigsaw, they probably wouldn't have been able to keep the lights on since that audience is gone.
Where am I? How did I get here?
Hello, pair. Let's play a game.
Ah! No!
Yeah, that's right. They actually did brought Jigsaw back. And if you're saying, okay, that's Halloween, here's another proof that they brought it back earlier that I truly remember. It's actually the earliest appearance after those years of what Gamer from Mars said.
I'm out. Me too. I'm not gonna eat food. I am food.
Wait, you can't leave. If everybody leaves, we can't do a video.
You can't leave.
Why are all the exits locked?
Allow me to introduce myself.
Oh my gosh, it's Puzzle Piece.
That's right. And also, yeah, I had to really jokingly use that because I actually did a reaction video of that. I love that, literally. It's still my favorite joke. Oh, no, Puzzle Piece. But yes, and believe it or not, here's actual proof. Now, granted, this is not the full proof. You can look it up in the video. But this took place 3 years ago. That's even more years than what happened with Gamer on Mars. And admittedly, at that point, along with a few other things, it seems like the creators of the Annoying Orange sort of now switched the bill in some way, which would make sense in some regards, because to be frank, again, Gamers on Mars point is true. It was a smart move to go for kids, but at the end of the day, the sacrifice is it wouldn't be so profitable or well known. So since then, they have been evolving and actually talking about more serious stuff over the years of the videos. And I do mean it. It's still the same kid-friendly content, but to give you an idea and an example, they actually last year and years before actually confirmed that Marshmallow is in fact a they, which is a big deal, meaning they represented LGBTQ+. And if you think I'm joking about that, they also went after people in a way that shouldn't be something in a kids show that they actually would tackle, but they did. And it's a whole can of worms, but literally do the comparison before the Shocktober and you see what I mean. Now to clarify, I think I should clarify this before ending. I don't know if this really was a middle finger towards them. After all, who knows? But it really does feel like that is the main goal. And not in a rude way, mind you. This is stuff that always happens towards creators as of all. Many creators will fight back, not through doing a little bit of a Hey, fuck. Hey, oh yeah, a little bit of a response video. Sorry about that. I thought I paused this because I really do need to keep my train of thought going. But he really did decide to be like, hey, you know what? If even showing Jigsaw is enough, here's more proof of the fact that I can become dark again, and that is the point of it. And you can definitely see it through even the Tombstone, because 2016 and around that point is when he started. Now, of course, just to clarify, I don't know what the Tombstone naming could mean, but I do believe it. Now, how this will go on in the future, who knows? But it is a pretty good, smart move to see how a person would evolve his craft to jokingly prove a point. But anyways, this has been Floxcat. I finally did this. If you have any other suggestions, please let me know. I'm snapping out of here. Bye.